Hey y'all, I'm Laura Richardson with Relevate. We're Real Estate Elevated, and we're bringing you another episode of I'm Moving to North Carolina, Now What? Today we're going to be talking about how do you find the good, bad, and the ugly on an area that you are interested in purchasing a new home. So I'm going to give you a couple quick tips, a couple of places to go to gather that information. Keep in mind, some of these are very subjective. Some of it is data that your agent actually can't interpret for you. So make sure you're taking these resources with a grain of salt and evaluating it for you and your family or whomever is going to be living in that home with you. It's really important that you kind of judge whether or not these are good opportunities and whether or not the data even matters. So the first thing is looking at social media accounts. Most towns actually have either an Instagram or a Facebook or both. And then there's also some community information pages that are not necessarily run by the town itself or anybody that's in the government offices in that location, but they're still extremely helpful. Using this type of social media to stay in the know on what things that town does as a collective is really important. They also post maybe if there's construction going on for DOT, if there's a town event that might be of interest to you to kind of get to see the people out in the real world. It would be really good to stay in the know and evaluate, do you like that location? Or does it seem like maybe it doesn't jive with either what you were expecting or your values? Of course, this also could pertain to neighborhood groups as well. There are some bigger master plan communities here that do have quite a following on those different social media accounts. And it's a great time to be able to use the dialogue that's provided to interact with folks that you may potentially have as your neighbor. The second one, and I love this one, is the local moms groups on Facebook. Of course, this is kind of an isolated one. It does pertain to those of us who have tiny humans, but I will say that those moms groups will give you bang for your buck when it comes to the questions you ask. Now, I will go ahead and forewarn you, if you say that you are moving to the area and you are interested in buying and selling, please put a disclaimer in there if you're already working with an agent and save yourself the painstaking number of comments that you're going to receive from local agents who want to interact with you and help you along your journey. I've seen some of these posts blow up to 200 plus comments, and it's a lot of realtors, real estate agents, or folks that want to introduce you to their agent that may not be answering your initial question. So just giving you a little tip there, a little piece of advice. But people love to talk. They love to share information. So if you have a specific question, also let them know what you're hoping to glean from said question. To give you a perfect example, I do see folks asking about particular schools sometimes or particular neighbors or neighborhoods rather. And so it's really good to make sure that your question is very explicit. Make sure it's detailed. That way when people are responding to you, you're getting the types of answers that you're actually looking for and we don't cast too wide of a net. But again, this comes with a warning, so just be careful with those moms groups. The third thing is the town website. So something that is really important, and maybe this is a little old school, is looking at the website itself. Look at the vision plan. So for example, it might be a 20-year plan, it might be a 10-year plan, but where are they hoping to grow, or how are they planning to kind of monitor the growth of an area? There are certain parts of North Carolina where the local municipality is actually really aware that the growth is almost too fast, and so they've put some stipulations in place when it comes to permitting, or if it's new construction in particular where they're not allowing as much growth. That's really important for you to know, especially if you're buying in an area where permitting or new construction is what you're hoping to get. You don't want to get stuck and be under contract and everything kind of comes to a standstill because there was information available that you weren't aware of. The other thing too that a lot of town websites will have is local DOT changes. We have two major roadways here, our inner and outer belt line, and the outer belt line, otherwise known as 540, is being expanded and extended into the southeastern part of Wake County. It's really important if you're buying a home over there that you're aware of that transition and of the construction that's going to be going on for probably a few more years. There are numerous other major highways and roadways that are also being expanded. So checking out a DOT website incongruent with the town website is probably a good idea. Number 4 is just getting agent stats. And I don't mean about the agent themselves, but statistics that the agent can help you actually come in contact with, have access to. So if you're trying to get into a particular neighborhood, it's really important that you're staying in the know of the competition, as well as how often are you actually seeing homes in that particular neighborhood. So if there's only 10 homes that populate in that area for an entire year, that might tell you have to be a little bit more aggressive and more proactive in making sure you see those homes in a timely manner and get your offer in. It's also really good to watch what closes. So not just the active stuff, but also the things that once they close, are they going significantly over list? Was it an appropriate jump? Because keep in mind, there are occasions where some listings are very conservative and maybe the home was underpriced. Or there's situations where the home started out overpriced and you saw that drop and it took tons of days on market for it to get sold. You want to make sure you're having those conversations with your agent so you can really dive into the data and understand the trends and what to expect when you start actually putting out offers. And then number 5, school websites and their social media accounts. School websites are a great way to see what's going on in the community and how involved the community is in the local schools. Keep in mind, Wake County is super complicated when it comes to school of choice. We have other videos that you can check out in regards to that, as well as blog posts. So make sure that you're kind of getting a little bit more info from that. But if there's a particular school that you're looking at, make sure you're monitoring how active the community is at the school and what types of things the school does for the students. Maybe even check out their school improvement plan. What areas of improvement are they planning to accomplish in the next 3 years? And then the last one, and this is the one that's really big with agents not being able to really chime in on, that's local crime stats. Crime stats are important to a lot of people, but I will say it's very subjective. I'm originally from Atlanta. Moving here to Raleigh, there was definitely a big difference as far as the crime statistics were concerned. So I will say that it's really important that if you are really concerned about safety, that is a subjective topic. Your agent cannot chime in on that, but they can provide local resources that you can actually monitor, and you can determine if that's the particular location you want to invest in or have your family living in. So these 6 things should give you kind of a good platform and a good starting point to evaluate a location a little bit more in depth. I'm Laura Richardson with Relevate. This is another episode of I'm Moving to North Carolina, Now What? And be sure to follow us on YouTube and Spotify, and we'll see you next time.